Hey friends, welcome back to the Layli Madi podcast. Today we are talking to the lovely Angelica Pompy. Angelica is an incredible educator, photographer. She does like kind of all the things, to be honest, including events. But I don't want to say most importantly, but I'm being extremely selfish. Most importantly, she is an alumni and current upcoming co-MC of the Creative Educator Conference. And we're going to be talking with Angelica about building intentional relationships when you actually make a move and show up to a room. So this is not necessarily just for the Creative Educator Conference. It's for any event that you show up to. Angelica, I mean, I'm just going to brag about you. She freaking kills it at any event she goes to when it comes to actually building relationships that yield results. It's not just like networking for networking's sake. It's not fake. It's not gross. It's not sleazy. Like the way that you do it is just beautiful and so genuine to yourself. So let's get into it. First of all, tell people like why this is important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'm Angelica Pompy. Thank you, Layli, for having me. I have been an entrepreneur since 2019 full time, and I've learned so much. And what I've learned as an entrepreneur is like you have to have like relationships to build community, to then grow your network and reach more people. If you are a solopreneur and you work in silo, let me tell you, sister girl, you're going to be very lonely in that corner. And so with the intentional networking that I've done, it has literally brought me so many opportunities, not only like for myself, like professionally for my personal growth, but for the impact that I've been able to make with my business. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do as business owners is make impact. And so I have a couple strategies that we can kind of talk through that are a little tactical for your listeners that they can kind of implement. And one of those is a connection call. I love doing those. So typically when I go to an event and I'm like, okay, I really enjoyed this conversation with Rosalind. I want to dig a little deeper and just get to know her. What I do is I'll send them a follow-up. My go-to is like a DM. I love a good video DM. And I'm like, hey girl, I loved connecting you at this event. I always like to say the name of the event because sometimes we start like, how do we connect and all of that? And they don't see it right away. But we're like, and so I said, hey, I would love to connect more. Let me know if you're interested in doing like a virtual coffee chat. It's 30 minutes. Yeah. And that's where you get to tell me a little bit more about what you do, how you serve, and how I can support you. And the connection call is really about them. And so that's literally Rosalind is a great example because I met her at a conference and then she's local to me. So I saw her in another room. I was like, girl, we've got to connect. I feel like our energy is the same. Yeah. And that has now led us to, we co-hosted a workshop last January. And this past January, she was a speaker at my retreat. And like, she was able to serve my audience of people so well. Like the women from the retreat are still like in awe of like the takeaway. And all of that stems from just expanding that connection.
I love that. I feel like, first of all, there's so many things to be said there. One, I love that you said that you make it about them. I think that is like the key to making things not gross when it comes to actually like connecting and building a relationship. And two, it was a win for you because you found a speaker for an event that you're hosting. And it's a win for her because she's then a speaker at this event, which she would have never had the opportunity if she hadn't shown up to this event and met you and also networked herself. So it's like we're seeing both sides of it, which I think is really interesting. And I know you also have experienced the same thing of getting speaking opportunities, leadership opportunities through showing up. Like, can you share some of those?
Oh my God, yes. I will never forget when I went my very first year to Creative Educator, I was like a little eager beaver. I was new to education. I was like, I don't even know how this all works, but I just know I want to help others. And A, it brought me clarity getting in that room. But B, I had 3 intentions. So anytime I go to a space, I always at least have one intention. What do I want to walk away from this event? And so I knew the caliber of people that were going to be in the room. I knew I would have access to just have like sidebar conversations with a couple folks. And everybody would ask like, okay, what are you looking for from the event? I was like, well, I'm actually looking to speak on more podcasts. So if you or someone you know is interested in a guest speaker, these are my areas of expertise. And I walked away that year. I think I had like 6 or 7 podcasts just from the first year of Creative Educator. It was wild. That's and I was awesome. Like, and it was the simplest transaction, like post. It was like, here's a link, schedule a call, get on the podcast. I was like, wait, what? This like, it seemed like too good to be true.
It's easy.
I was like, wait, okay, I'm gonna allow myself to receive because they told me like this is how it is. And so I think like at that very moment, I was like, okay, this is a room I need to be in, and I need to be more rooms like this. And it's very rare to find those bigger conferences, and I say bigger, but like still intimate, where you get to see everybody on like more than one case of bases. You're gonna walk to the bathroom, you see that same person maybe sitting at your table. And so those small interactions made the yes for them that much easier. And so for me, that was a win. And I'm like, I don't have a podcast of my own. I love guesting. And I'm like, dang, that's all for me saying yes to an opportunity of being potentially uncomfortable, scared, nervous, all the things. Cause I'm like, I'm about to be in the room with maybe a couple millionaires. It's fine. It was fine. Rub an elbow over here, sister. Like, but like honestly, those connections that I made with people, I was like, wow, okay, this is where I need to be, and I need to be here every year for sure.
Yeah, I love that you had like put thought in intentionally beforehand to say like, this is my intention, this is my goal. And it was so specific. I think a lot of people do kind of make that mistake, or I think I don't know if you think it's a mistake of like the general, like, well, I want to be a speaker, like period. But it's like, okay, let's break it down. What steps can I take this year to get to that end goal? Like you might not be able to go from, hi, nice to meet you, to you are now a keynote speaker on a main stage. Like there's steps in between usually, right? So
Yeah.
what would those be? And I love that you set that. What are other intentions that you've set in the past that have been helpful when you show up in new rooms?
Yeah, other intentions. Sometimes I go to an event just to meet a person. Maybe that is the keynote speaker, or be in the energy of that person. And I will never forget last year we were at Creative Educator, and Jen from Tonic was at my table, and I was like the table leader. So I was like, I'm the leader for you? Oh, hey girl. Yeah, this is not a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal to me. It's fine. But like being able to understand, like at the end of the day, we're all like at the same playing field. We're all human, and we are experiencing similar things, if not have experienced it. And I think it's very humbling for like everyday people that are doing things in the community. It's like, okay, we can all sit at the table and serve each other. I love to receive, but I also love to give. And as natural leaders, we're always giving. So being in a space to receive has been incredible. And I think like just making sure it's very clear, like when you walk into this door, what do you want? Is it as you want to make a connection? Do you want to have that handshake with that person? Is it to grow your business? I'm actually going to an event at the end of this week, and I'm not a huge fan of like the leader of the group. However, I told my husband, I was like, this is the first day of my business church doors open for my membership. And it's going to be a room full of entrepreneurs, and it just will be visibility for me and my brand to just go. So I told him my intention to go into that event on Friday is to connect with 3 new business owners that need support in marketing. That is my intention. And then if I get those connections, how can I take it deeper in the DMs or a connection call? And so having that kind of clear makes you have an intention of like, okay, this is a reason why I'm going to this event, versus like, I'm going to go look cute and like do the things, but like, what is the actual reason? Because our time is money at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. I love how specific you are. I mean, I feel like I already said that, but I think a lot of people struggle to find that specificity to be actually able to like break it down and get super specific. Is that just like natural to you, or like did you have to like put a lot of thought into that? Like what's your process when you are setting an intention?
Yeah. Oh, I would say at first it was a lot of trial and error. I would literally leave rooms and be like, why was I there?
Yeah.
What?
I think we've all experienced that. And I
Yeah.
hate that feeling. I hate that feeling, and I never want anyone who's coming to my stuff to feel that way. So yeah, tell us. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. And it still happens to me from time to time. I'm like, so why did I say yes to this event? Or like, why did I say yes to networking at this event? And I think it just, you have to trust your gut. We know we know what we experience, and we know what we need as business owners. I would want to ask yourself, like, why do I want to get in this room? Is it to grow visibility? Is it to get new clients? Is it to meet the host? Be kind of as specific as possible. And then if you like check that box, count that as a win.
Yeah.
Because I think people go into rooms and they expect to get 7 clients and like get the ROI right away. And like with relationship building, you have to get to know people. At the end of the day, people buy from people, which is why I love in-person events, because no matter how much you are online, you could be blue in the face talking about what you do, but until you meet people in the flesh and you see their energy, you're like, whoa, we're a vibe. We got to do something here. And like, that's where magic starts happening.
Oh my gosh, I could not agree more. Completely agree with that. Okay, I love this. So I know that you've also told me in the past, and we've talked about the other outcomes that have come from beyond those intentions that you set. Because, like you said, you're checking the box and you're saying, okay, that's a win. What are some other things that have come from your time setting these relationships with people and actually like doing the follow up, the follow through, and like taking action afterward?
Yeah. I'm going to say I spoke at another conference. It was a photography conference. And I went in the intention, obviously, serving the students there, all the attendees. But I made it a point to make a rapport with the host because I was like, I would love to continue to pour into these group of women that were in that space. And I just remember telling myself, if my checkbox of that goal was to make at least like a handful of connections, and I'm not sure like what those connections are, but that feel aligned and authentic to me. And one of the women that I connected with, she did a one-to-one like sit down marketing coaching with me, and we connected. I helped her, and we just stayed connected on Instagram. And when I launched my retreat, she was the first one to purchase the retreat ticket. And I was like, for me, that was a very full circle moment because I really was in that space of just giving and serving her. I wasn't not selling her anything. I was just like, I'm going to meet you where you are. And so when the tickets launched and I saw her, transaction go through in the email, I was like, no way, it's her. And like now she's like singing the praises of all the things that I do have helped her business. And it's just like that snowball effect. And like that's the kind of impact as entrepreneurs we need to be making in the world. It's like, it's not salesy, it's just serving. And I always tell this to my students. You're never selling, you're serving. You're selling, you're never selling, you're serving. Remember that. Tell yourself that anytime you go on a sales call or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, we are given these God-given talents. And if we keep them to ourselves, that's very selfish, and that's not fair to the world.
I love that. I feel like you say that to me all the time. So y'all listen up, take notes, because I have to be reminded of that by Angelica all the time. I would love to also hear, and I want to approach this in a positive way, but I also just want like, give us the real deal about it. What are mistakes that you see people making when they show up to an event and that leads them to leaving feeling unsatisfied? Like, where are those mistakes made? Where is it that you're seeing people like drop the ball or like not get their money's worth when they show up to an event? Because I know like I'm seeing things where I'm like, this was a mistake.
I would say do your homework.
Yeah.
Ask people that have been to the event. If it's an inaugural event, I would ask clarifying questions like who's going to be in the room, how many people are going to be there. If this is a reoccurring event and you've had your eyes on it, ask an attendee. Like I heard this from another podcast. It was like, it's better to hear from the horse's mouth. Like they're going to shoot it straight. Of course, the host is going to want you to be there, but like, ask one of the attendees, message them, hey, what was your experience from this? Would you recommend this? This is where I'm at in life. I think asking those clarifying questions will tell you like if you need to be in that room or not. What I see also happen a lot, especially in like in-person events, is people don't allow themselves to be present. Like put your phone away, put your computer on DND. We are not doctors 9 times out of 10. Like we don't save lives. So like if you are going to spend the money to be in a specific space, a networking, a conference, like whatever that is for you, make sure to like plant your feet are so you can be present, because that's being respectful not only to yourself but to the people there. Like if you're in a corner on your phone, of course if you're taking quick notes or something like that, that's different, but like try to be as present as you can be, because what you put into it is what you're going to get out.
Okay, I love that. And honestly, I have been to so many, obviously, I've been to so many events. I love attending things. I love hosting. I love speaking. I go to events all the time. And I will say the people who are working on their laptops in the back of the room or in a separate area, or they're not paying attention during sessions, like that stuff goes noticed. And it's not even, I'm not saying that in a way that like it quote unquote looks bad. It just makes you feel unapproachable by other attendees. If you get that, like if you're putting that vibe out, I think other attendees hesitate to connect with you. Do you feel that way? Because like I don't want to talk to somebody who's clearly like acting like they don't need this, even if that's not the intention, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I would say, even from a speaker standpoint, now that I've been on more stages, when I'm looking into the audience, we can see that as speakers. And it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, she was uninterested, or, oh, she doesn't want to be bothered by me. And maybe that wasn't what, the case was, but that's like where our heads go as speakers.
Mhm.
And if you don't see anybody engaging with your conversation while you're on stage,
Yeah.
obviously that's another conversation of like how to engage on stage. But just from looking at the audience, everybody's on their phone.
Yeah.
Sister, what's happening? Like,
Yeah.
am I not saying engaging stuff? Is this not good content? Like, tell me more. Like, what am I doing wrong as a speaker? And like, again, you want to be present. That's respectful to the person on stage, but also like respecting your boundaries that you set for yourself. Because as business owners, that's the number one thing. We don't have boundaries and we don't stick to them. So like, put the phone on DND, put the computer out of office, email. Like, it's okay. You can step away. I promise.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, I love that you said if everybody is not paying attention, that's like a speaker problem. But we can definitely tell when somebody's taking notes, they're on their phone because they're jotting something down, they're interacting non-verbally. We can tell if you're paying attention or not. And a good speaker should be able to tell if it's because of them or if it's because of the audience. So like I'm glad you said that. Just like as a speaking coach, I'm like, yes, very good self-awareness there. I know that you've mentioned being able to walk away with like sponsors, sponsorship connections, things like that. That's a huge question. And obviously, like in the upcoming, at the time this episode airs, we'll be still like almost a couple months out from the conference. Natalie Frank, who is Flowdesk's head of marketing, she's going to be talking with us all about profitable partnerships and sponsorship and stuff. But the reason we have that this year is because everybody wants to know how to secure sponsors. How have you secured? Because I know you've told me that you have had success in this, like just showing up. How does that happen for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started doing sponsorships local to my area, and this was internally for my photography side of the business. And we host a Galentine's Day event every year. And I have grown my following. I have a strong platform for my email marketing. I have tons of subscribers there. And I literally was thinking to myself, how else can I pour into my community outside of like hosting an event where they can meet each other, but also bring their brand to the forefront? And so I literally jotted down all the brands that I have supported or worked with, or people that I want to work with that have same ideal client. Okay. And so I would like go down that list and I'm like, okay, this person could benefit from the people that get in this room or from this event that we're hosting. And this year I'm hosting my 5th annual Galentine's, and I've like the profit margin, the largest profit margin, number one, and two, the amount of sponsors that everybody's like, Angelica, sign me up, sign me up, sign me up, has all been from relationships. Angelica, everybody's like, Angelica, how did you get so many sponsors? It's like, I've met this person at an event like 2 years ago. We just stayed connected. I met this girl like at one of my sponsors. I literally met like 2 days before, and I was like, hey, I'm having a Galentine's Day event. Would you want to do like a giveaway? She's like, count me in. And like that one in-person interaction like is changing the experience of my event for others. And so some of the stuff has been long-term relationships, especially if you're asking for a dollar, like, dollar amounts versus like a product or trade of some sort. And the dollar amount, people need receipts. So like if you are an event host, if you're a speaker and you host things, make sure you're just tracking your analytics of like how much engagement you have, because those are the things that sponsors want to see. But I've landed all my sponsorships from my Galentine's event has been all relationships like over the years. One of them is my nail tech. Like and I don't think we think about these people like or people that are in our everyday life is like, let me just ask her. And she's like, yeah, like count me in, girl. You're always supporting my business. And I'm like it's never tick for tack, but people remember when you support their business. And I mean, what is it to ask? You will never know until you ask.
I love that. I feel like you do. I mean, the way you were saying that, I truly believe that you're bypassing a ton of back and forth and a ton of like dismissive emails when you're in person. It is so much easier to say yes to somebody when you can look them in the eye and be like, yeah, I love this. Like we're hitting it off. And I know, like, for example, our sponsors at the conference, when they meet somebody in person, they're much more likely to partner with them later on for one of their speaking events or speaking engagements or like something they host. way more likely to partner with them than they would be if they had never met in person, because you're just bypassing any trust building. Like you're already building that trust by being together. So I love that.
I love that. And I love that you said that, because last year at Creative Educator, one of the people at the flow desk table has been somebody I've been communicating with. I'm a flow desk partner. So I was like, to put a face to a name. And I was like, can I give you a big hug? And she's like, of course. I'm like, we talk a lot online, but like, again, there's just something about that in-person connection. And like, it helps, honestly, the back end of business too. I have a virtual assistant, so when I'm going to make these connections and getting these sponsorships, it's a quick like, hey Tiffany, this person's going to shoot us an email, this is the context of it, when you get it, just approve it, and that's it. It's literally, versus like you said, 25 emails of like back and forth, all the things. It makes your life and business easier too.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that so much. Okay, well, I would love to round this episode out with a quick rapid fire, just like fun little rapid fire. I like to do like quick questions if you're down. But before we do that, is there anything else you want to share about intentional relationship building? Anything you think our audience needs to know before we move on to our fun Q&A?
Yeah, I would just say, when you are thinking about getting in a room, whether that's a conference, a networking event, even like having those one-off conversations of coffee chats and things like that, ask yourself, what is the purpose of this? Because if it doesn't serve you, and I know that sounds selfish sometimes, it has to be a give and take. And so make sure it serves you in this season of life and business.
I love that. Okay, rapid fire. Here we go. She doesn't know any of these questions, you guys. All right. Let's kick off with, what is the best event you've ever attended?
Oh, Creative Educator.
Okay. Well, maybe we should just,
okay, not Creative Educator. Oh man.
We'll just say that was your favorite. What's your second favorite?
My second favorite. Oh, I would say there's a local networking group here to me. It's like all women entrepreneurs, high energy. It's a luncheon every month. I freaking love them. St. John's BFF. They're amazing.
Amazing. And what makes them your favorite?
I would say the caliber of people, the diversity, and the energy in the room. It's like I feel fired up every time I leave.
Awesome. Okay. And then second question is, you don't have to say what the event was, but when you think of your least favorite event, why was it your least favorite event?
Disorganized, logistics nightmare, parking nightmare, like the flow of the event. It's just like, what am I supposed to be doing? A lack of sound, like mics and situations. Oh yeah, I got a ton.
Sounds messy. Okay, I love that. So, do your job, basically. Love that. Okay, personal question. What's something you're watching right now that you're loving?
The Olympics. First of all, I don't even watch TV, but like last couple days, this Winter Olympics situation, I was like, first of all, this is a sport, and two, people do this for a living. I'm a Florida girl through and through, so like I was up till 12:30 last night watching the Olympics. I'm like, girl, if you don't go to bed, I was like,
what event is your favorite so far?
The skiing one. I was like, their moves
weird, yeah,
and the sticks are bent. I'm like, are they broken? They're like, no, that's part of the strategy. I was like, what is happening here?
I know. I'm always like, I don't know what I'm watching, but this is cool. That's so funny. Okay, and then personal question is, what is like your quote unquote guilty pleasure right now?
Guilty pleasure, I would say, is trying to make my coffee bougie in the morning. I'm always a coffee drinker, but like I've been trying to test out some like new syrups and creamers, and I'm like, I try to romanticize this part of my morning as much as possible, because it's like before craziness starts. So I'm like, I got all these creamers in the fridge. My husband's like, what is all this? I was like, I don't know.
We need to get you an espresso machine.
Yeah, that sounds real bougie. Oh gosh.
So fun. Okay, and then the last question is, what is something you're looking forward to in 2026?
2026 is expansion. Expansion in my community. My membership is Business Church, space for female entrepreneurs to be empowered and inspired, and seeing how that's reached women on the West Coast to the East Coast, all the way to the Caribbean. So I can't wait to see how that expands this year.
I love that. And I know it's going to be just even more massive than it already is, because you grow exponentially every year because she's an action taker, people. Love that for us. Okay. Well, I am so excited for people to listen to this, and I'm excited for all of our Creative Educator Conference attendees to get to know you this year in the spring. And yeah, y'all go follow Angelica. We'll link up all her stuff in the show notes, but it's Angelica Pompy. Find her on the gram. She's very active.
I am. Send me a DM if you listen to this. And if you have questions about any of this or Creative Educator, take this as your permission slip to slide in my DMs. I cannot wait to chat with you. And until next time, my friends.
Love that. Thank you. We'll see you guys on the next episode of the Layli and Madi podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Layli and Madi podcast. If you found value in today's episode, it would mean the world if you would leave a review or share it with a friend who's on their journey to becoming an industry educator or speaker. Want more support as you grow? Head to laylimadi.com for free resources and more information on how we can work together. Until next time, keep showing up, keep sharing your voice, and keep leading with purpose.